Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our Folk Ed series webinar, the Insider's Guide to the FAI Conference, Montreal edition. We're just going to wait a little bit to make sure that everybody is here with us. And in the meantime, I'll start kind of going through some of the control panel features that we can use. So we're just going to wait a few minutes, but hopefully everybody will be here soon. Alrighty, so everybody should have a control panel that opened when they joined the webinar. There is a box called questions where you can ask your questions throughout the presentation, and I will make sure that Angus and Treasa know of these questions. You can also hide the control panel completely by clicking the little orange arrow at the top of that control panel. There is also a handout download. This is a PDF download of the PowerPoint slides that we're going to review today, and you're welcome to access this at any time. Any underlined words on the slides are links to more information on that mentioned topic. The webinar will also be recorded and saved on folk.org, and it will be accessible to FAI members for future reference as we get closer to the conference. And I will go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Forrest Beck. I am the Development Coordinator here at FAI, and I am also the host for today's webinar. So again, welcome everybody. As I said before, this is the Insider's Guide to the FAI Conference, Montreal edition. Today we have with us FAI's Executive Director, Angus Fannin, and FAI's Canadian representative, Treasa Levasseur. As we get started, we would like to know a little bit about who's all attending today. There will be 3 voluntary poll questions that'll appear on your screen in just a few moments. So please take a moment and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. It's Angus Fannin here, Executive Director of Folk Alliance International. I want to thank everyone who's joined us online today, whether you're a longtime attendee of Folk Alliance International or a first-timer just looking for a bit more information. Before coming to Folk Alliance in this staff role, I initially came to Folk Alliance about 20 years ago as a touring songwriter and spent time showcasing and networking and taking in the event as an artist. I later came representing a festival when I stopped touring and came as an artistic director looking for artists. Spent some time working with the board of Folk Music Ontario and came to Folk Alliance for a number of years from a governance perspective, looking at the way Folk Alliance operated at a board level, and then ultimately came representing the Ontario Arts Council, interested in supporting the artists that we were supporting to develop into national and international marketplaces. So saw it from a number of different angles before coming to the staff position, but it's, I think, important to know that many of our staff members have seen the organization from different angles, and we try to bring that to bear and complement some of our planning with many perspectives in mind.
And I'll introduce myself now. Manoah Levasseur, and I am the Canadian representative for Folk Alliance International. I am a 3-time showcasing artist at Folk Alliance International. I'm also a former volunteer at Folk Alliance International, and I'm delighted to be part of the team that is putting together the conference in Montreal this year. I have lived in Montreal, I have loved Montreal, and I'm very much looking forward to meeting you all in Montreal. And please don't hesitate to reach out personally to me at any point if you have any questions in the future about Montreal. I would be more than happy to answer them.
I should mention as well that I did my undergraduate studies in Montreal also, so I'm looking forward to our return to that fair city this year. And one of our other staff members also spent time in Montreal. So we're going to go to an introduction of our staff at this stage, just so you have a sense of the team behind the scenes. And I will start with the Director of Operations. So Jennifer Rowe, some of you may have met many of these staff members. Jennifer Rowe is our Director of Operations. Jared Rivers is our Membership and Technology Manager. Both Jared and Jen have been with the organization since we moved our office from Memphis to Kansas City. Alex Mallet is our Business Development Manager. He handles all of our sales and sponsorship and grants and donations, and he is an artist originally and spent time in Montreal, studied jazz bass there, so he's also looking forward to getting back to his university city. Erica Noguera is our communications manager based here in Kansas City. Leah Watts is our executive assistant and special projects coordinator. Marissa Kolka is our digital marketing coordinator. Ian Sussman is our conference intern. Beth Hatch is our volunteer coordinator. Jim Schultz is our private showcase coordinator. Sheena Keene is our international representative, and Amy Therian is our program coordinator. So each of these folks, we tend to get a lot of emails that come straight to the top, but we are trying to direct folks to the appropriate contact. Each of these staff members has expertise in their area of operations and are most appropriate in terms of answering questions. So if there is a question about membership renewal, or whether you are a member, or how to access your membership account, or how to pay or move from being an individual member to having your whole organization represented, you would contact the membership manager. If it is related to taking out an ad or booking an exhibit hall booth, you would be talking to Alex Mallet in his role. All of the staff can be reached at any time via email. They each have distinct email addresses, and you can go to the staff page on our folk.org website to get all of their direct information, or to pick up the phone number and extensions through our office.
And Angus, while we're here, I would like to just go over the poll results. We've got some really interesting demographics here today, so I would just like to say those. So we have 83% first timers. So welcome to Folk Alliance. We're thrilled that we're going to be seeing you in Montreal. So that's very exciting. Also, we have 42% are artists, 29% are buyers and bookers, 26% are industry professionals, and then 3% are fans. And the last one, we have 44% from the US, 33% from Canada, and 22% from outside North America. So welcome everybody. It's very exciting to have everybody here.
So at this point, I think we'll move on to preparing for the conference. The webinar is going to consist of 4 sections. The first section is preparing for the conference. That's where we are now. And then we'll move to practical tips, programming, and post-conference. So to just stay where we are for a moment, preparing for the conference, in this section, we will be talking about all of the things that have to happen before you arrive. And remember, if you have any questions at all, you can just feel free to send them throughout the webinar. Forrest is going to respond to everybody individually. And if there's a question she feels should go to the group, she'll address it at the end of each section. We will also have a Q&A, a question and answer, at the end of the webinar. So to get into the meat of this section, we begin with registration, which is step one to attending the conference. Currently, as you can see, we are in our fall rate. So until November the 30th, this is the pricing at the moment. For members, it's $400 for individuals and $325 for groups. That's per person, per group, and that is a group of 3 or more people. That's for members. You can see that our non-member pricing has a jump. So for non-members, it's $500 for individuals and $425 for groups of 3 or more people, and that means $425 per person. Now, we do have this particular graphic up on the site, but there are different rates for those who are official showcase artists and those who are international attendees. International attendees qualify for a discount, and we also have a cancellation policy. All of that information can be found on the website, www.folkconference.org. Or if you have questions, you can call the office and speak with the wonderful Ian Sussman at extension 9. He'll be happy to help you navigate through your registration.
Great. And obviously the earliest rates are the least expensive rates. They started last February. So just keep in mind, if you are planning to come in 2020, that the earlier in the year that you plan, the more you're able to save. But speaking of savings, I just wanted to highlight again that member rates automatically provide a discount. So if you're not yet a member and you haven't registered, or in the future, doing so as a member provides a $100 discount off the price. But becoming a member also provides benefits that include the right to vote in the election for the board, indeed the right to serve on the board and ability to serve on the board, and also access to discounts throughout the year for other events, including our 5 regional conferences. And it also provides an opportunity to vote in our International Folk Music Awards for both our Lifetime Achievement Awards and also the Best of the Year, so Best Album, Song, and Artist of the Year. There are scholarships that are available in terms of attending the conference. There are 2 types of scholarships annually. Artist scholarships, which are currently closed. They were open to any applicant, so any official showcase applicant. And they have at this stage closed. Recipients have been notified. Our industry scholarships are still available, and those have a rolling deadline. So if you are a first-time manager, agent, publisher, or an industry person who has not attended Folk Alliance, we provide scholarships on a as available basis that can provide a discount of 50 up to 100% off the cost of first-time registration. There's also a Folk DJ Scholarship. This is an independent fund that's organized by the folk DJs of the community, and they have an annual fund that supports the attendance of a first-time folk DJ, and it's a full ride scholarship, meaning that it is not just access to the conference registration, but includes transportation, accommodation, and a per diem. That has been closed for the year, and that committee is in the process of selecting the recipient for this year. We do have a referral program as well. So if you are a member of Folk Alliance, you can receive a $50 refund on your registration for every first timer who signs up who indicates that you were the person who referred them to Folk Alliance. You can do that up to $250. So if you purchased a registration at the early bird rate of $250 and you end up being a referral for 5 first-time attendees, you would get your full registration paid back. So when registering, the first timer must list, and you would have, if you have registered, you will have seen this as one of the fields. They must indicate the person that was referring them, and if they happen to be a member, we go through that at the end and track all of that and issue refunds. And then finally, volunteering. So we couldn't produce this conference without the help of our volunteers. About 250 volunteers are required, everything from crew chief level to assisting on a as-need basis. There are some very set roles, and there are some that are filling gaps at the last moment. So there's a range of activities and needs, everything from helping with registration to staffing the doors and ensuring that people who are accredited for the conference are accessing the rooms. Members provide 16 hours of service in exchange for a complimentary registration. And if you're a non-member, then it's 22 hours of service. And that's spread out and scheduled across the entire conference. And there's many teams to be involved with. It's also a great way, if you are a first timer, to get right into the thick of it, meet a lot of people, and understand a bit about how the conference operates.
Okay, so let's talk about traveling to Canada or to Montreal if you're in Canada. First things first, only Canadian citizens have access to our free healthcare system. So please make sure if you're coming from the US or from somewhere internationally that you have health insurance to cover your costs and travel insurance as well. For US citizens, you are exempt from the ESTA, which is the Electronic System for Travel Authorization. All you need to travel into Canada is a valid US passport, and that's it. If you're coming from international places, we do have a link on our website that lists whether you need a visa or not coming from your own country. If you do find yourself coming from a country that requires a visa to get into Canada, that it should be your #1 priority as soon as this webinar is finished, because these types of things often take a lot of time. And you can do so by checking the Canadian Embassy website for your own country, and then speaking with someone at the Canadian Embassy in order to begin the process of applying for your visa. There's different requirements for travel documents, whether you're driving into Canada or flying into Canada, and there's more information to be found on our website about that. Focal Alliance supports folks who are coming from outside of Canada by writing 2 different letters depending on why you're coming to the conference. If you're attending as an official showcase artist, there is a specific letter for you. And if you are not attending as an official showcase artist, there is a general notice letter which just states that you're coming to attend an industry conference and not be paid. In terms of the pragmatics of traveling to Canada, for members, we do have a ride share and room share forum if you want to organize a carpool for yourself or split hotel costs while attending the conference. So we would encourage members to check that out. And we are working with different travel companies to provide discounts on air travel and car rentals. If you see the line "How to Get There" on the slide that you're looking at, when you click that in the PDF, it will take you directly to more information on those discounts. As a final note, if you take the train, which I highly recommend, whether that be the Amtrak from New York City or the Via Rail from either side of Canada, the train stops in the basement of the hotel. So you literally roll off the train and take the elevator, and there you are, you're right in the hotel.
Speaking of the hotel, the hotel is a famous, beautiful hotel. It's the Fairmont Queen Elizabeth. It's one of the sort of classic hotels of that era and of the city, and as Treasa was indicating, is positioned directly above the train station. One of the really unique aspects of this hotel is that 50 years ago, this was the location of John Lennon and Yoko Ono's infamous bed-in, where they had a multi-day protest by staging a bed-in and inviting media and dignitaries and artists in to discuss world peace and everyone's collective views on it. It's also where they wrote and recorded Give Peace a Chance. So we will be celebrating that anniversary as part of the conference. And in fact, on Saturday morning at 9:30, that's on February the 16th, we will be staging the world's largest simultaneous bed-in and broadcast performance of Give Peace a Chance, with all artists invited, and delegates for that matter, invited to share their own version of Give Peace a Chance from their own beds, live stream to celebrate the 50th anniversary. We will sell out this hotel. We have a discounted block. It's a substantial block of rooms that are at a discounted price. So if you have not booked your room yet, right after you make sure your passport is current and your visas are secured if needed, we highly recommend booking sooner than later. We are ahead of pace from past years, and typically the conference hotel and the discounted room rate has sold out by the time we get just in advance of the holidays, but we are ahead of pace this year. So we fully anticipate that those discounted rooms will be sold out. There will be other rooms in the hotel, but they will be more expensive, and those will be the standard prices of the hotel. There are also other hotels in the area, and obviously people will be using Airbnb and staying with friends if they have them in the area. We will have a secondary hotel discount block established, and we will announce that and release that when we reach capacity with our own discounted block at the Fairmont. Prices are $189 Canadian or $147 US per night, and that's the discounted rate. Those rates are the comparable to the rates we were paying for the past 5 years here in Kansas City at the Westin. And the direct booking link for those hotel rooms is on the conference website, folkconference.org. Under Attend, there's a hotel link there. Last few items, weather, currency, and language. It is February. It is Montreal. There will be snow. It will be cold. But it's a beautiful city in winter, and there's certainly a number of people who are attending the conference who have full intentions of going skiing up at Mont Tremblant, just north of the city afterwards. So if you are a skier, there is some exceptional skiing in the area. And Montrealers and Canadians in general typically fight winter by just embracing it. There are a lot of things to do in the city and lots of ways to enjoy it, namely to dress for the weather. But it's important to note that there is an entire underground pedestrian walkway and mall that stretches some 33 kilometers throughout the city, and many Montrealers travel from one end of the city to the other underground in these pedestrian walkways or through the metro or the subway of Montreal. And that is directly below the conference hotel as well, including a substantial food court. There's also currency exchange there. It is Canada, so it is Canadian dollars. Canadian dollar is actually lower than the US dollar. So if you're coming in from the US right now, your dollar is going to go farther. And it would be good to do that in advance of coming in, but if you have forgotten to, you can simply withdraw from an ATM in Canadian currency or change your cash there. It is a bilingual city. It's a French province and a primarily French-speaking city, but anyone and everyone will flip to English. So for anyone who hasn't been to Montreal or is worried about that, it's a great place to try out your French or just sort of soak it in. But don't worry if you don't speak French at all. Everyone, once they realize that you're an English speaker or speak another language, they'll flip to whatever language is most comfortable.
And speaking of bilingualism, we have a few wonderful posts. If you see that Montreal favorites link, that will take you to the blog page on our website. And currently there are 2 blog posts, but there's going to be more from our advisory council members. Those are folks, bilingual folks living in the city of Montreal, who are sharing their tips and tricks and secret spots and great places to eat and fun ways to navigate the city. So be sure to check that out now and also in the lead up to the conference to find some really cool off the beaten track spots to visit.
So speaking of attending the conference, we've got you over the border and into the doors of the hotel. One of the things that is really important to do, especially for first timers who are coming, and given that we have so many first timers on this call, is to not wait until you get to the conference to figure things out, really to establish a plan and determine, why are you coming? What are you trying to achieve? What is the need that you have? It may be that the first time is really about reconnaissance, just coming and understanding how this works and functions so that you have a better approach the second and third time that you come. That's not to say that you can't do things in your first year, but it's important to have a plan. So determine why you're coming and write it down. Identify who you need or want to meet with and what the goal of that meeting is. Are you trying to find an agent? If so, then you might want to find out who are the agents that are attending and look at their roster and do all of this in advance. One of the things to note is that on the folkconference.org site, there's an attendee list, and that list is updated every Monday, and that gives you the latest list of who has registered for the conference. If you are a member, you also can access the contact information for all of those registrants. The only requirement is that in accessing that list as a member with all the contact information is as it relates to spam laws, national and international, that you not simply harvest all of those emails and put them into a bulk email system. That is spamming the list, and will have rights to access that list removed. You must correspond on an individual basis. So if you are looking at an agent, you would correspond to that agent by name, indicating why you're reaching out to them. As opposed to grabbing all of the agents and sending one broad email.
And one last thing about the goals that I would personally recommend from experience is that you set a small number of goals so that you can achieve each of those goals, as opposed to setting 25 goals and not being able to achieve any of them because you're spread very thin. That's just my personal advice. We'll move along to making a schedule. That's a great place to keep your goals in mind. So our program book is going to be available online before the conference. The app will also be available. And our daytime programming is separated into different tracks. So there's an artist track for programming, an industry track, and a presenter track. These tracks can guide you on what panels and programming will benefit you personally, but bear in mind you don't have to stick to only your track. It's best to keep your goals in mind when you're choosing which panels and events at the conference you're going to attend. The next point is around marketing and visibility. It's very key, if you are an artist, to make your name visible during all of your performances. And I encourage you to imagine doing that in a creative way. It's great to have promotional materials that you've designed for on-site use. We have lots of advertising options available, from digital advertising on screens to an ad in the program book or pocket guide, and anyone can advertise in the program. We have tote bag insert possibilities. There's a sponsorship guide on our website, and that will show you all of the options aside from those ones, and those ones as well, including the pricing. So have a look, think ahead, plan ahead to how you want to make yourself visible. And then you want to have things on hand at the conference itself to hand out with your name and your contact info and where and when people can see you perform if you're a performer. You might want to consider going green and having only a small number of flyers or promotional items, and encouraging folks to take a photo of your flyer. You might want to just have a business card, and you might want to go traditional and hand out a CD or a download card or a flash drive. Please bear in mind that CDs, just jamming one in someone's hand when they haven't agreed to take it, is the same as spamming someone's email box. Many of our international delegates, and even our delegates from across Canada who are flying, are not able to take a large amount of CDs on the airplane with them. So think about creative ways that you can provide them access to your music that they can access in a way that's easy for them and that does not feel like a pressure for them. And finally, you want to make sure that you have some kind of visibility on the private showcase floors if you're planning to do a private showcase, which we will talk about later.
And visibility on the private showcase floors and those handouts, it's important to note that we no longer permit posters and flyers to be simply laid out on the main conference floors for the official showcase and panel and workshop floors. And this is in an effort to go green. We do still permit that on the private showcase floors where it is part of the ambiance and atmosphere of those showcasing floors. So in terms of the resources that we have and just staying on top of the latest developments for the conference, staying connected with us is important to do over the next few months. The first thing to do really is if you're into it on social media, follow us there on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Use our hashtags FAI Montreal, FAI. There are other hashtags associated with Folk Alliance in general and on different social media platforms. But once you've signed up, check those out and feel free to tag us in any posts that you have about your plans or your attendance or your activities during the conference. Subscribe to our mailing list if you haven't already. There were some default settings and opt-ins and outs during your registration and membership, but make sure that that you are maximizing your ability to stay on top of communication from us if you wish to be on the mailing list. These are the #1 ways to stay up to date on all things Folk Alliance. Obviously, the conference website is available to you at any time. That's folkconference.org. Folk.org is our main website for the organization with all of our year-round activities and resources, but folkconference.org gives you all of the details. The image you see on the slide here is a screenshot from the website, and it shows across the top some of the menu items. This is a screenshot of the Attend tab rolled out, so it shows you some of the options there, including the hotel or non-Canadian attendees. So clicking on those sub-menus will give you more information. The mobile app is a feature that it's good to download in advance and get familiar with, so that once you're on site, you're not discovering it for the first time. But it's a very robust feature that allows you to access all of the programming information and schedules, to select artists and create your own schedule that allows you to navigate the conference without having to flip back through the program book from page to page, and also provides you a way to stay connected with folks. There are direct links through to websites and ways for you to connect with delegates on site. The schedule at a glance is on the website and provides you an overview day to day of all of the activities that are taking place during the conference. So that's a way to get a quick snapshot now and plan out your days there in advance of the program being available online later on in the year. There is also a first timers guide. If you are a first timer, this is an overview of all of the conference activities and sort of demystifying some of the terms and things that happen, and some highlights of things that you might want to consider taking in your first year. There are also forums for FAI members, so you're welcome to log into your own account through your YM, through our online platform on the website, and access any member and communicate with them whether or not they're going to the conference, but also forums for people who are coming to the conference itself. And finally, this year, we've finally entered the blogging era, and we'll have more in-depth material available for you, and certainly other webinars that may not be directly related to the conference, but like this one, provide information throughout the year about different aspects of the music industry. So private showcases, we just want to talk a bit about the private showcases for those who are new to Folk Alliance. These are showcases that happen in some of the main rooms that have amplification, and mostly in private hotel bedrooms. Yes, that's private hotel bedrooms. There are dedicated floors that are the music floors. These will be starting this year at 10:30 and running through until 3 o'clock. They used to end at 4 o'clock in an effort to create a bit more balance for all of us. They're winding down at 3 o'clock this year. There are applications online if you're interested in hosting a room. So any artist can independently host a room. An agent or manager might decide to host a room. A music export office might decide to host a room. And in these private bedrooms, they get turned into a venue, get decorated. There's hospitality that gets arranged for those rooms, and the host of that room, once registered, can book any artist who is registered for the conference. They don't have to be an official showcase artist to perform, and many artists attend. In fact, there were over 800 artists at the conference last year who did not have official showcases, who performed private showcases, and many folks generate as much work through the private showcases as they would on the official stages. Jim Schultz, our private showcase coordinator, whose photo you saw earlier, can be reached by email at privateshowcase@folk.org, and he coordinates all of the rooms. They are booking quickly, so if you are interested in that, please do reach out to him. And if you are looking to perform a private showcase, there are links on our website for you to reach out to the presenters. Not all presenters put their information online for people to reach out to, because some are very specific. For example, if the Texas Music Office is sponsoring a room, they will likely be doing that to promote the Texas artists, so they will know who those artists are and reach out to them directly, as opposed to another host who might be interested in presenting anyone from anywhere. So do follow the private showcase links on the conference site to get more information about how to let people know you're interested or how to sign up to host a room. New this year, just want to point out that this requires advance sign up, are accelerators. These are business accelerators taking place on Wednesday, so the day in advance of the conference. So from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m., we have 3 accelerators being planned. One is for agents, one is for managers, and the final one is for artist entrepreneurs. And these are day-long business accelerators to really hone your craft, meet with key representatives and senior industry folks to coach you through some career stages. So it's designed for emerging agents and managers in the first few years of business, looking to get a bit more of a foundation from some senior peers. We also have a Meet the Folk DJs. This is specifically for artists and labels, and this also requires advanced sign up as the space is limited. There will be 2 global summits this year. One is an ethnomusicology summit being held on Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the other is an Indigenous music industry summit being held on Thursday from 10 to 3. Both are for, well, for the ethnomusicologists, it's for ethnomusicologists and delegates who work in the field. So it is a limited enrollment for that, and it is specific. It's not a panel that you drop in and out of, but something that you sign up for that entire summit period if you are working in that field. And the Indigenous Music Industry Summit is for Indigenous artists and Indigenous industry and community members. Both of those links will be going live in early November, and as will our music camp. So the Louis J. Myers Music Camp is only available to conference attendees. It is not a public event at this stage. And while in the past we've done it in a separate hotel, this will take place within the Fairmont Hotel concurrent with the conference. It will be taking place Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and those times will be available on the website. The instruction will range from introduction to things like Inuit throat singing all the way to master classes in particular techniques for a very specific instrument. So everything from entry level to master class, and both traditional class instruction and more of a group participation approach in some sections.
Great. And the last two items on this slide that I'd like to just chime in about is the mentor sessions. More info is going to come soon, but that's artist to artist mentorship, and the Connecting Folk program, which matches first-time attendees with someone who's been to the conference many times to share tips and advice. If you are a person who's attended before and you would like to participate, or you're a first timer, the guides are asked to make a 30-minute commitment in advance of the conference to share advice with a first timer, and you can sign up for that online. So we are now going to move on to part 2, which is our practical tips. So first things first, you're going to arrive at the hotel and you're going to check in at registration. You cannot attend any conference events until you have checked in at the hotel. The registration hours are Wednesday from 11 to 11, Thursday from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that's where you're going to pick up your tote bag, your program book, your pocket guide, and your name tag. And at that time, I would encourage you to take a peek around the hotel, orient yourself. Where are the rooms? Where are you going to be performing, or where are the places that you would like to attend panels, so you can just feel oriented and like you've landed. We'll also have, if you see the Get to Know Your Surroundings link, that will take you to maps of the hotel floors so you can have a better feel of the hotel before you arrive.
So whether you're a first timer or a veteran of Folk Alliance, it bears mentioning that self-care is critical. This is an epic event. And one of the themes for this year, while the theme is the spirit of creativity, the sub-theme to that is really around health and wellness, and looking at ways that we can all do a better job of taking care of ourselves and each other, including during a conference that really demands a lot of everyone in attendance. It's late hours, it's a different type of routine. There's typically more alcohol available than normal in terms of daily activities and work, and all of that can take its toll. So really take care of yourself and take a paced approach to the conference. Balance is our focus for this year, so taking time out and making sure that you are in your healthiest state is going to create a more positive experience, but also allow you to be more on the ball for all of the performance opportunities, business conversations, and in general, your enjoyment of the entire conference. So simply making sure that you rest, drink lots of water throughout. It is, it is a contained environment. Many people bring their own humidifiers for their rooms. So thinking about all of those things. Eat regularly may seem like something trite to say, but it is amazing how carried away the conference activities can become in terms of just going from room to room, and literally scheduling in time to eat is important. Speaking of which, we have this year our official showcases are running in the afternoon, not in the evening. So they start at 4 o'clock and will end at 8:30. There's then a 2-hour break from 8:30 until 10:30 before the private showcases, specifically for people to plan to have dinners, to rest, to have a bit of time away from the fray of the conference, to get out and enjoy a glass of wine and a nice meal in Montreal, and to come back in. So eat regularly and make sure to take advantage of those 2 hours. Bring extra shoes. You're going to be on your feet walking around, concrete floors, carpeted, but it does take a toll. Wash your hands. This is the middle of winter. There are people coming from all over the country and the world. There's lots of handshaking. So just thinking about your health in that way. Exercise. There is a gym and a pool. There are also options, yoga and meditation and different things that will be happening throughout the conference. So take advantage of those and moderate your intake. It is a multi-day event. There are plenty of receptions. There are plenty of events where there is a bar readily available. That's great and fun, but just pacing yourself and having that balanced approach is going to create a better experience. So it's also, as a large community gathering, important for us as an organization to acknowledge that folk music and our community and our industry is not immune to all of the concerns and challenges of the industry at large and society at large. Folk Alliance International did 2 years ago release a value statement, and we are adamantly opposed to harassment and discrimination of all types. Last year, we expanded that to a community gathering and training session and pledge, the image of which you see here on the screen, committing to a safe music community. And this is specifically to address sexual harassment, but also harassment of any sort. This has been expanded to include this year an interdelegate policy for anyone who has issues with another delegate that precede the conference, or any challenges on site where there needs to be a security address. And that policy is important to read. It's part of the standard registration at this stage, and for anyone who has already registered, it's been circulated to them. And again, this is just to let everyone know what the appropriate steps are to take to help ensure that that safe environment is maintained, and that everyone is clear on the ways to navigate and address issues that do arise.
Okay, we're moving on to the third P, programming. So this is going to be an overview of what our programming is, split into two parts: daytime programming and evening programming. So daytime programming, we've already talked about the accelerators on Wednesday, the global summits on Thursday, and the camp. But here are some other highlights. The tote bag stuffing party happens on Tuesday at 6 p.m. and it's a great place if you're a first timer to come. Stuff the tote bags, meet some friends. Often those are the people who might attend your private showcases or come to your showcase. So it's a great place to get connected. On Wednesday evening is the International Folk Music Awards. It's a wonderful presentation. Make sure that you arrive at the conference early enough to be able to attend. This year, the awards are going to be on site, and the dress code is folk formal. There was a lot of sparkly outfits last year, so turn out in your best ensemble. On Wednesday, also before the Folk Music Awards, will be the First Timers Orientation. That's an hour-long meeting where you get to connect with other first timers and also meet some folks who've been at the conference several times, who will help answer any questions that you might have or alleviate any anxieties that you might have about the conference. Our exhibit hall is going to happen Friday and Saturday from 12 to 4. Our annual general meeting of the members, to which everyone is invited, where you can learn a lot about our event and learn about our organization and learn about the board members. That's Thursday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Regional meetings are Friday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. And those are meetings of different geographical regions of folks. There'll be a Canadian meeting, there'll be a Western meeting, Western United States, Eastern United States, an international meeting, so on and so forth. And those are a chance for folks to connect with the people who are in the folk music industry in your area and make local and regional connections. Our Artist in Residence program will have a presentation on Saturday at 1 p.m. There is going to be a keynote, a presentation and speech. Angus mentioned our health fair. There's an instrument check-in, peer sessions, speed meetings, and our community gathering, which will be hosted by Lynn Miles. Sunday morning, there'll be a tribute concert to the Montreal and Quebec folk scene, which will highlight the work of luminaries like Leonard Cohen, for example, or the McGarrigle sisters. It's going to be a very special event. And of course, our closing party on Sunday evening. So I know I've just verbally said many things to you, but you can find all of that on the folkconference.org website. If you clicked the Attend tab and then scroll down to the Schedule at a Glance, you can sort of have a visual of
that. We have two links that are important, whether you're an artist or industry or a presenter, for official showcases and private showcases. We mentioned some of the details around private showcases. Again, just to reiterate that they are starting at 10:30 each night and going until 3 o'clock. That's ending an hour earlier. We're no longer presenting private showcases during the day. So no private showcases will be listed in the program or the pocket guide during the day, in the interest of focusing delegate attention on the professional development panels and workshops and the networking activities, whether those are private networking activities or public events being held throughout the conference. The official showcases, Wednesday night, they will take place after the International Folk Music Awards. So the awards are from 6 until 8. The official showcases will run from 8 until 10:30 and then go into the privates. But the official showcases on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will run from 4 until 8:30. All of the artists have been announced. They're up on the website. We're in the process of finalizing the exact schedule, and that will be announced on October 19th.
All right, our final P, post-conference. So a really important thing to do when you attend the conference is to follow up. And you probably already know this, but a great way to do it is to reevaluate your conference goals. What kind of follow-up do you feel needs to occur to be able to reach your goals? Have you reached the goals? And you want to save business cards and other flyers that you have received for follow-up, and take a little note on someone's business card of everything you receive and a little tip about them or a little fact about them that helps you to remember that interaction so that you can really personalize that follow-up email. You want to be as thorough in your follow-up as you are in your pre-conference planning, and be timely. So you want to really send that email within a week or so, the initial communication, and then a follow-up communication the following week, within a couple of weeks, so that people still have a chance to remember who you are. And you also want to send thank you emails. The value of a thank you email really cannot be underlined enough.
And in terms of other ways to stay connected after the conference, Folk Alliance obviously has different activities throughout the year. There are 5 regional conferences. FARM, which is the Folk Alliance Region Midwest, NERFA, which is the Northeast Regional Folk Alliance, SURFA, the Southeast Regional Folk Alliance, SWRFA, the Southwest Regional, and Far West, Folk Alliance Region West. And each of these have their own respective conference specific to that region of North America. We also host different events throughout the year, and those include a newly launched series called The Exchange. We held an exchange in Ireland in 2017 and an exchange in Gothenburg, Sweden in 2018. And these are the beginning of international market development events and things to consider attending in the future. Our 2020 conference is going to be in January, not February, in 2020. So we will be announcing the location of that. It's back in the United States, and it's not Kansas City. We will be in Kansas City in 2021 and 2022, but 2020, we will be in a secret city announced January 22nd of this coming winter. And we hope you'll join us there. It's going to be not as cold, but just as cool.
Oh,
yes. And then there are other events that we attend throughout the year where we promote Folk Alliance, the folk genre, and our artists and industry. Those include events like South by Southwest, Womex, Americana Fest, IBMA, the Grammys, and our own exchange events. So stay tuned for more announcements about those, and also showcasing opportunities at those events through our Finest Folk brand.
So thank you, everybody, for joining our Folk Ed webinar today. We hope that you have found the ideas presented here useful to you. And thank you, Angus and Treasa, both for your time this afternoon. Unfortunately, in the interest of time, the Q&A session will be through email. And so on the next slide is our contact information. If you have a question or I didn't get to it already, then feel free to reach out via email or phone, and I will personally see to your questions and make sure that everybody is informed. So There is a short survey that will appear once you leave the webinar today. And if you could just take a few minutes to fill that out, that would be amazing. We just want to hear some feedback on if this was beneficial and helpful and informational and all of the like. So yeah, we look forward to meeting you all in February. So thank you very much. And see you in Montreal.